Good, Bruce. All right, 7 p.m. Tuesday, March 10th, 2015. This time I'm calling the regular monthly meeting of the St. Albans Township Board of Trustees to order. Let the record reflect that all three trustees and fiscal officer are present, along with zoning inspector Tom Frederick, fire chief Ron Butcher, and numerous guests. If you haven't already done so, I ask that everybody sign in on the clipboard that has been around, hopefully. And one other reminder, the meeting is being recorded and maybe videoed or whatever. I don't know what's going on, but no problem. At this time, I ask that we stand for pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, Chris, if you'll start with the reading of the minutes from last month, please.
The February 10th, 2015 meeting of St. Albans Township was called to order by Chairman Charles Reese. All trustees and fiscal officer were present. The minutes of the January meeting were read and approved as read. The fiscal officer read fund balances to date. Tom Frederick said there was no zoning activity for the month of January. Tom and Charles Reeves discussed an opinion from the prosecutor's office from many years ago regarding an appeal to the zoning inspector's decision. Ron Butcher gave the January fire and EMS report. Ron presented the advertisement for the SCBA's as discussed at the January meeting. Randall Allmendinger made a motion to authorize the fiscal officer to advertise for SCBA bids to be opened at the March 10th meeting. Second by Gene Morrison. Roll call. Charles Reeves, yes. Randall Allmendinger, yes. Gene Morrison, yes. Motion carried. Ron talked about Mark's radios and how they have exhausted all avenues that they are aware of to get grant money for these, and the loaner devices that they have been using are about to be recalled, so they need to get prepared. He presented pricing and is proposing to purchase of 7 portable radios. Gene Morrison made a motion to authorize the purchase of 7 Mark's WAPX 7000 XE radios at an approximate total cost of $32,000. Second by Randall Allmendinger. Roll call. Gene Morrison, yes. Randall Allmendinger, yes. Charles Reeves, yes. Motion carried. Mail was read. The fiscal officer read a letter from Big O saying they have been acquired by Waste Management. They will still honor our contract. The 2015 mowing proposal for the cemeteries and firemen's park was presented. Cost is the same as last year. Gene Morrison will contact Kevin Malone and ask about a cost for the Maple Grove Cemetery should the township be taking that over in the near future, and if the price would be any cheaper for the other mowing by including this. Randall Allmendinger gave an update on the Fridgetown Park. Charles Reeves said he had signs made and installed them on the township building stating that the township is not liable for damages, as discussed at the December meeting. Charles Reeves discussed the section from the ORC regarding an inventory requirement per Dick Carter. He asked Ron Taylor to work on this for the fire department and has asked Tony Tritt to work on it for the township. The fiscal officer presented annual appropriations. Charles Reeves made a resolution to approve the 2015 annual appropriations as prepared by the fiscal officer. The entire resolution is on the table with the fiscal officer. Second by Randall Allmendinger. Roll call. Gene Morrison, yes. Randall Allmendinger, yes. Charles Reeves, yes. Resolution passed. Trustees signed a mileage certification from the county engineer's office for 25.895 miles of road in the township. Charles Reeves had Bob Rowe give an appraisal of the township property for approximately 5 acres at $59,000. He also gave a price for splitting it into 2 3-acre lots. Charles Reeves presented options and pricing he got from Gingrich Metal Sales for a township building, as discussed in previous meetings. Checks were signed. Meeting was adjourned 10:42 p.m.
All right, having heard the reading of the last month's minutes, are there any additions or corrections? Okay, hearing none, they stand approved as read. Okay, fund balance report, Riz, please.
General fund, $8,729.21. Motor vehicle, $7,032.94. Gasoline, $6,149.85. Road and bridge, $71,163.25. Fire district, $370,020.48. General bond note, $28,603.18. General bond note, $2,789. Total balance, $494,487.91.
Okay, having heard the fund balance report, Randy and/or Gene, comments or questions? Okay, well, if you look at that already, in case you're wondering, if you look at the expenditures under the fire department, as far as the total being significantly lower than it was last month, as far as the total balance, that's because of the turnout gear and all that, so I'm sure Ron's gonna talk about that anyway, but I just thought I'd tell you. All right, anyone in the audience have any questions or comments regarding fund balances? Okay, that being the case, we will start as usual with guest comments. Tom, will get back to you, so, sir, want to state your name and your purpose, or if you have any questions or whatever?
Don't have any questions?
Okay, care to give your name?
Sure. My name's Jeff Chorpenning.
Pardon me?
My name's Jeff Chorpenning.
Okay,
Just,
all right, you don't have anything in, Jeff?
no, sir.
Okay, David, anything? Squeak?
Nope.
Sir, I think from what Ron told me, you're with one of the vendors.
Paul Merriman, Fire Safety Services, here for the bid.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sure we'll probably be maybe getting some thoughts from you here in a little bit. Okay, any of you guys in the fire department have anything as far as general, other than what the chief's gonna talk about here in a little bit? Okay, Todd? Okay. All right, Tom, zoning report, please.
Okay, finally get a zoning permit.
Did you?
Unfortunately, it was one of them freebies. It was for the dugouts at the ballpark, at the pitch drum.
Fritz Drum?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the only thing. It's not that I haven't been doing anything. I sent out emails this past week to the trustees in regards to the Old Moore, the Spanish language translation building,
Right.
seemed to be a resident. I did talk to Chief Butcher this morning about that. We've had discussions. I also today received from Craig Van Horn from Wacto and McNally, who is a good friend of mine, but I was aware of when David Moore was doing and getting prepared to put those ladders up. He had contacted that firm, and Craig finally found the drawings. I do have those now. And Chief, speak up here, you have to understand that the history of this is the fact that, the building was discovered shortly before it was finished, that it was above the 35-foot height limit. They made application to the Board of Appeals, and that was approved with these ladders. That was under the direction of Mike Aldridge, the chief at that time, and I think Tony Murphy. I can get my paperwork out there. But they were never put up. Now it's being sold to some folks that want to use it strictly as a residence. My first comment back to the Park Sherry real estate agent that I've been dealing with, Rob Klinger, the first thing I said is, these people need to really get a hold of their insurance agent to see if there's an issue there. Because again, they were never put up. Obviously, this time of year is not really the time of year that I would recommend anybody putting anything on a metal roof. So I basically told Rob that, I'd accept, a notarized or a certified letter that stated that they'd be up within 60, 90 days. Again, talked to the chief this morning. Obviously, different people have different opinions, and the use has changed. It's went from a business to a residence, or proposed residence. There's a gentleman by the name of Mitch Claggett that has been working for the Shea Real Estate, and he had contacted Building Code. Building Code is an opinion, since it's being changed to a residence, that these ladders are not needed, or it's not required by code. Chief Butcher is of the same opinion. He felt that they would be better off with possibly sprinkler, alarm system, and what was the other, just the sprinklers?
Alarm system, sprinkler systems.
Yeah. So again, I expressed all this to Mr. Klinger today. The issue, I guess, is the fact that this is a BZA approval of that variance, that the ladders were going to be installed. So if the ladders aren't necessarily needed, then it would have to, in my opinion, it'd have to go back to the BZA to get that removed. So that's where I'm at with that.
Just for a point of clarification, Tom, have you discussed this situation with the prosecutor's office?
No.
Okay. I'm not doubting, I have no,
Right.
I have no idea, I was just curious on it.
I can do that tomorrow. Actually, tomorrow at 11:30, I'm going to take, Mr. Klinger wants me to take me through the building. I've been in it once before, so. But and again, when I was in it, when Moore's, I forget what I had to do, went there for, to meet with David Moore. The staircases aren't open, you know, it's like a typical commercial building where you go into a airlock type of situation, then you go to the stairs. So it's not like it's open in that, so. And then the cupola that's on top really isn't habitable space. It cannot be reached, it cannot be reached at this point in time, you know, nobody can get up there.
Just decoration.
Decoration, you know, but, you know, that's where I'm at with that. You know. The other issue, not an issue, another thing I'm coming over tomorrow is I'm meeting with Jack, the gentleman that runs the body shop, Don's Body Shop on North Ridge Road.
I heard it had sold there at the end of the year, and well, a new owner was taking over the first of the year. I don't know any more than that, Tom.
And I can't tell you what the
owner or
gentleman's
anything.
last name was, because he didn't, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm meeting with him tomorrow also, before I meet with Mr. Klinger. They called me Monday, and they're kind of looking at the North Baker property, north of 161-37, on purchasing that, and wanted to know if they could, you know, what they would have to do to move the body shop there. So I've got the zoning, both zoning, business zoning districts, and the process for the zoning amendment. Did discuss with him the future land use plan, that area is slated to be, you know, a commercial area, which I said was a plus for him. The north side of that Baker farm is really chewed up. I mean, it's besides the old right-of-way, there's like 4 or 5 different parcels that are on the north side of 161-37.
There's one parcel there on the north side that's not owned by the Bakers.
Okay.
The old, what Dave and I would refer to sometimes Squeak, would know what we're talking about. But those of us who've been around the old, what's left of the old Alexandria Zoo property.
All right, right. And that doesn't, that one, according to the tax map that I printed out this afternoon, is still under the ownership of, well,
Connor. Yeah. Unless something happened that I'm not aware of, it should be under Kenneth Connor.
Right. So,
And it's a small, I don't know, truthfully, I don't even know what's left, but it's a small parcel.
they don't even give the
100
acre.
acres, I think.
You remember, Dave?
I think 1 acre, or right close to an
That's
acre.
kind of
Yeah.
what I was thinking, but wasn't 100% sure.
And I didn't realize that he has acres, that, you know, I figured that they were talking about the area south of Moots Run Road, to the 161, but then I see that Baker also has those two fields.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't even, yeah,
I just looked at it.
yeah, you did, I guess I was taking it
Yeah,
north of the old 161 when you, I apologize, yeah, that'll be interesting to see what,
yeah.
which parts
And
he's
there's,
talking about, I guess.
Like I say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parcels there. That it looks like the state just used the center line of the old road for a dividing line for all those parcels.
Yeah, well, that'll be interesting.
Right, and I haven't heard from the gentleman that purchased the south side, so,
And he did purchase it?
I didn't even look.
Okay, well, when you said that, I was just, last I heard,
I was in a
thought,
little bit of a rush. When
I thought it was, maybe or maybe not, and that's the reason
Right.
when you said that, I just asked, I don't know.
That was the equestrian.
Yeah.
Okay,
The horse playground, but other than that,
that's it?
fielding phone calls and.
Sounds like you've been busy. All right, Gene or Randy, questions or comments for the zoning inspector? Rich, any of you? Okay.
I will say that the zoning commission is very close to finishing the buffering and the screening regulations.
Sounds good.
That's.
All right, Chief Butcher, fire department report, please.
Okay. Got a lot of stuff to cover tonight. Let's start with if you'd like, to benefit Mr. Merriman, start with the bid opening of the SCBA.
Yeah, whatever, you're in charge.
Do you wanna open them on, or?
It doesn't matter to me, how do you want to do
You'll
it?
know more about them.
Okay.
We had two.
All right.
Is that right? you think?
Yeah, what we're gonna do, I'm just gonna state this for the record, our fiscal officer, we received 2 bids for the in regards to the SCBA. She's gonna hand these 2 envelopes to the fire chief, and he's gonna open them, due to his more being familiar with them.
And we asked for bids on the basic units, and before we start too, these are the 2 units over here we're evaluating. These are the 2 industry standard units, MSA and Scott. Mr. Merriman, representing Fire Safety Services, represents the MSA brand of breathing apparatus. MSA is what we currently use upstairs now, and for the last month, everybody's been evaluating these. And I copied you on an email about some drama we were having with getting correct
Right.
models, and it was important to us to have side-by-side models so we could fairly evaluate them. And so I copied you on that email so that you would know what we're dealing with, and
Yeah, and I didn't print it off or anything, I
No.
figured we'd discuss it, but
Yep.
everything he said is
And-
correct.
And as a result of that, we got those issues resolved, and we got the appropriate models to, we have opinions on how even those issues were resolved, which reflects on the servicing and of the units, so we have those opinions.
Chief, is there a strength or weakness of either one of those that you like better than another for a certain
After
reason?
evaluating them, there's strengths and weaknesses and preferences and training issues and things like that, so, yeah, we, mostly, since I don't wear them, mostly my job is just to oversee that we get the correct one for the township, but using the evaluations of these guys is the important part. So,
Okay.
with that, we'll open the 2 packages, one of them from Finley Fire Equipment made out to St. Albans, and one from Fire Safety Services made out to St. Albans. I'll open this Finley Fire one first.
Very nice.
That's why Bridget didn't want to do it.
That's right.
You don't carry a knife? You don't carry a knife?
No doubt it's steel, huh?
And inside another.
Like my business goes to my kids. Okay, we have a package here from Finley Fire Equipment. and some literature on the Scott brand of SCBA, which is the one on the right. The bid's dated March 3rd. It's got some various pricings. And we'll definitely make copies of these to enter into the record. We had item numbers on the bids, and so probably sometime in the meeting when you get on the regular business, I'll go back and itemize these on a spreadsheet so we can compare the two prices. But I'll just quickly talk about some of the pricing. For 4,500, I'm going to summarize some of this. AirPack X3 with the standard pass device, Kevlar mask with voice amp bracket, 4,500 PSI, 45-minute bottle, which is the Scott package we're looking at right there. 16 of those units are 5,140 each for a total of 82,240, so about $5,100 for the basic units. To add voice amps, it's an additional $375 each for $6,000. 4,500 PSI carbon bottle, no charge, that's included with the pack. The face piece masks with voice amp bracket, additional ones are $242 each for a total of $6,050. So for the basic equipment for those 16 units, Friendly Fire Equipment proposes $94,290.
94,290, Ron?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that's for 16 units, correct? Okay.
Then we also asked them if they had another, what we asked for was the latest versions that you have available with your manufacturer. Then we also asked if you have an older version still available that meets the new standards, to price that one too, in case we couldn't afford the better ones, and that's certainly not our desire. And I think AFG would have a problem with that too, which for everybody's benefit, we're using money from, awarded to us from AFG grants. Bid number 2 was for the later version, it's the same price as above. Other options to add, quick connect cylinder, bottle connections, no charge, face piece strap, $25, chest strap, $23, buddy breathing option, $390 each for every one of these that we would want to add. Special option, Scott Complete Rit Bag, extra face piece, regulator, $3,600 each. Cost of mask sizing, to have Friendly Fire come in and determine which size everybody needs, is $25. Current cost of annual mask fitting is $35 each. Current cost of annual flow testing, $48 per unit. These are all required annual tests that we currently do even with our old equipment. Anticipated delivery time, 7 to 9 weeks. Thank you, submitted by Mark Weekly of Finley Fire Equipment. So that is a summary of Finley Fire's bid for Scott SCBA's. And this bid, we can just make 4 copies of it too.
So it's hard to look and listen to the second bid, at least that's my thought.
This bid from Fire Safety Service. Dated March 2. 16 4,500 high pressure bottles. 2013 compliant with swiveling lumbar pad, which is an option, chest strap, metal cylinder band, integrated pass device, voice amplifier, HUD mask, and 4,500 PSI carbon cylinder bottle. Price each $4,499 for a total of $71,984 for the 16.
71,984, Ron?
984, yes, sir.
Thank you.
25, price each for 25 additional face masks are $219 each. So if we buy 25 additional, it's an additional $5,475. 16 spare 45-minute carbon wrap cylinder bottles, that's extra bottles we carry in the apparatus, are priced at $639 each for a total of $10,224. I don't recall reading that on that bid. So when we summarize it, I'll look for that, make sure it's not in there. To add a quick connect option to the MSA, which is the one on the left, is $100 each. To add a chest, to remove the chest strap, because it's priced with the chest strap, you deduct $10 to take that off. Mask fit, that initial purchase is no charge. Mask fit testing, initial purchase, no charge. 15-year warranty on pneumatics and electronics. Price includes delivery, fit testing, and in-service presentation. And the options for the MSA XT, XT45, the older MSA, but also 2013 compliant. The price on that one is $42.99 for a total of $68,784. Spare cylinders for that one are also $639 each, same prices for the other one. And the masks additional for the older one are $245 each. And additional internal HUDs are $374 each for the old version for a total of $9,000. Additional voice amplifiers, $319 each. Mask fitting initial purchase, no charge. 15-year warranty, this is on the older version. Price includes delivery. Also, annual flow testing of SCBA units are $65 each. Annual fit test of a mask is $35 each. 6 full high spring clips are $16 each. And of course, that fit testing and flow testing, that's no doubt the current price of that, and during the life of it, that obviously can change. They're not saying probably that that's what the price would be forever, but that's currently what the price is. With this is some information about the 15-year warranty and brochures also. So that completes the 2 bids that we received for that after advertising for 3 consecutive weeks in the newspaper. And when you go on your other business, we'll talk out the back and summarize even on a spreadsheet and if they have that available. And then make copies of it. So, no other questions about that?
Randy or Gene, questions, comments so far?
On the fire safety service, the final bid, I saw was $71,984 for the 16 units. Were there additional prices on for the add-ons?
Yeah, I think the way that's priced is that's for the initial 16 units, and then we have to buy additional face pieces and additional spare bottles. And what are we anticipating the whole project to cost? $91,000 or something like that?
91,000 plus 17,000
And-
for face pieces.
Yeah. So, in addition to that, so we're well within.
108.
Yeah, we're well within our budgeted amount, so that's,
Well, when you get those sheets where we can kind of
see where we're at.
compare a little more apples to apples.
And with that, since we're done with the bid presentation, Paul, anything you would like to say, or your comments are welcome?
I'm open to any questions from the community. Appreciate the opportunity for allowing us to be a part of this. Thanks very much. A long history of St. Albans, obviously. We've been in business with you guys, supporting you for many years now. Hope to continue that. Greatly appreciate the partnership. We offer 2 different packs for the chief's request. They're both 2013 compliant, NFPA compliant SCBA's. The one that they have been checking out is our newest platform. And once the chief sits down and looks at the numbers, the G1 is actually going to be less money for you by way of comparison to the old platform because of the additional heads-up displays, clear commands. All that is already built into this unit, so the cost of this is going to be drastically less by way of comparison. And you'll see that on your spreadsheet when you complete it.
I'll just speak for myself. I thank you for being here, Paul, and as you can imagine, I'm like most trustees, I'm sure there's a few in the county that have experience with fire, but I'm not one of them in safety gear, but I'll be relying on basically on what the chief and his officers and staff has to say, but I do thank you for the opportunity for you to be here and converse with us. So, Gene, you have any response?
That's fine.
All right.
All right.
Move on with that, and from there, we need to set up another meeting quickly to award whichever bid we decide is the appropriate bid. And I would anticipate that meeting wouldn't take very long at all. 'Cause it's probably gonna be fairly simple. So, because we did advertise that we would not make that decision tonight.
Right. Right.
So, whatever conveniently works for you guys and doesn't adversely impact my maple syrup making.
Say between your maple syrup and the fistball, so I guess
Yeah.
that's the best place.
That's
to
our
start.
issue.
What
And
season are you
then-
thinking?
My
of?
10-day
then
season.
we'll add our
My 10-day season. for
thoughts
this
one
year.
way or another on
Yeah,
it.
just, probably next week, as soon as available. And the reason for that is we need to get the orders placed and get the, because our FT grant is supposed to be completed by July. And with that, we're gonna talk about this a little bit later. We're thinking we came in under budget both on the turnout gear and on the SCBA, so there's gonna be some additional funds that AFG will allow us to request to use either towards our Marks radio purchase or some additional turnout gear. So Todd's not sure, he thinks it's 10 to 15,000 if we have excess up to 10 or 15. Paul, do you have any experience with that number?
I do not, chief, I apologize.
He thinks that's what the grant people told him. We know if it's 25,000, they apparently don't let you have all of it, but they'll let you have some of it. So we would be grateful for whatever additional funds that we could put towards.
What do you think, Britt? Next
Do you-
Tuesday?
We can do next Tuesday, or we can do sooner if you want.
Yeah.
We can do, I mean, what, do we need 24 hours for a special
24
meeting?
hours, yeah.
So if Thursday works, we can do Thursday.
I'm in a meeting with, Lincoln County Prosecutor.
Okay,
Thursday.
so is Tuesday
Yeah,
all
I
right?
think Tuesday, a week
Tuesday?
from now.
Tuesday work for you, Randy? Tuesday work for you, Gene?
Yeah.
And I assume same time, you,
Next Tuesday, okay then, chief?
you check it out.
Today
Syrup season be over with them.
is, actually, Monday or Wednesday would be better for me. What about you?
Doesn't matter. Well, let me think.
She's gotta work the day after either of those.
Yeah.
But it should be a short one, so
Wednesday.
it should be all right.
Wednesday absolutely works better.
Wednesday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds to me like a chief saying Wednesday. Next
You
week.
think?
Please.
Next Wednesday, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So back to you, Gene, okay?
Okay.
What
Randy,
time? Usual 7?
We'll do 7 and anticipate we'll be done in
All right.
30 minutes.
we need a motion to that effect.
I make a motion to go ahead and hold a special meeting for the SCBA decision next Wednesday at 7 o'clock down here in the bottom of the firehouse.
And that would be the 18th, correct, Ron?
Yeah.
Second.
All right, motion by Randall Almendinger, second by Gene Morrison to hold a special meeting, 7 PM, March 18th, 2015, here at the fire station basement. in regards to, excuse me, the opening of the SCBA, or the awarding of the SCBA bids, excuse me. All right, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
All right, any further discussion? Roll call?
Gene Morrison,
Yes.
Rand Almendinger,
Yes.
Charles Reeves.
Yes. Okay, we'll see everybody that's interested.
Great.
A week from tomorrow night, 7 PM, same place.
Good. All right, moving on, the four usual monthly reports, calls for service, February, we made, 29 EMS and 10 fire, responses, which resulted in 62 apparatus responses, 20 hospital unit transports. The only thing of significance was, not significance every time I go out of here, it's significant to somebody, but the significant event was a chimney fire in Liberty Township on City Thomas Road. And we are just lucky and thankful that during that extreme cold weather, nothing really seriously bad happened in the township or immediate area, so made it through that fortunately, and thanks to a lot of these guys who did additional staffing on those minus 20, 30 degree wind chill nights, and these guys, they came in and stepped up and worked in that weather. Appreciate that. Monthly payroll and staffing looks good. The last page on there, it doesn't say it, I'll talk about that in a second, it's from Bill Gordon.
Staff will go through a good run.
Thanks to Todd. Todd, yeah, thanks to these guys agreeing to work.
Make it pretty easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks to all of you.
All right, if there's no questions with that, we'll move on.
Do emails count with that resignation and all? I saw how you printed that out. I would assume that counts,
Yeah, if you don't
right?
wanna work here, we don't care how you tell us.
Beautiful. Because I tried to use emails like that in court before it didn't work.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're
So you
volunteering.
shouldn't get yourself in court.
Yeah.
It was the guy who was after, yes.
No, we prefer a written resignation, but, you know, if that's how somebody chooses to resign, that's.
Sure.
that's fine.
I was just shocked how you did it.
Okay.
Huh, okay.
Okay, moving on, the AFG turnout gear project is completed, except for getting the invoices paid, and I believe Bridget went ahead, like Charlie mentioned earlier, Bridget processed the checks for that, which were, I don't know, $40,000. $43,000. We're gonna hold the checks until AFG deposits the money in the account for Bridget. Todd submitted those checks last Wednesday, and the grant lady then reviews them, make sure that everything's in order, and we know they are because Fire Safety Services knows how to write the invoices to please AFG. And since FEMA did not shut down and Homeland Security has not defunded, we anticipate we'll get that money within the next 10 days. And then when that happens, I'll probably make a copy of those checks tonight, give them back to you, and then when you see that it's deposited, then email them to Fire Safety Services, if that's how you would like to do it. So yeah, the turnout gear is completed. There's some remaining turnout gear down there for a couple guys that are off sick and haven't been able to pick theirs up yet. We're really pleased with the new turnout gear. Most of you guys got new turnout gear, and
You guys all pleased with it too?
some of them have said it's nicer than what they use at their home departments as far as fit, and that's the important thing. So credit to Fire Safety Services for doing a good job on our turnout gear package.
Thank you.
Generator service is scheduled for next month sometime as soon as it gets warm, like we talked about last fall. SCBA bid opening is over. SCBA special meeting is next Wednesday at 7. And the only other thing left is Mark's radios. And I'm sure you were expecting us to come back tonight and report, no, we ordered the radios and they'll be here in another week or two. But like Chief Majors from West Licking said, I've never had so much trouble spending money in my life as we have trying to buy radios. So this radio project, Todd and I've been working on now for over a year. We talked about Mark's radio for over a year. So after the last meeting, we were prepared to go place the order for seven radios just like this for a cost up to $32,000. And just to summarize what our problem is every time we dealt with a radio company called BNC, which is a large Central Ohio radio dealer, every time we deal with them, we get a different price. And so every time we call them, and then kind of the last straw was that we got quotes in the last September and November that the basic radio was a $2,000 radio. And then when we got ready to do this project, Todd gets a quote, and now it's up to $2,400. So that's what brought the price up to the $32,000. And we're talking about that and a multitude of other issues. Todd can take us apart and build it blindfolded because the dealers will tell you one thing, he'll go research it, no, that's wrong, and the specs say that's not correct. And it's been just everything, correct? Everything. And the dealer calls back, yeah, you're right on that. And from the size of the buttons to the intrinsically safe, explosion proof, I mean, these dealers do not know what they're selling. So, and it's state bid pricing, so the prices should be the same no matter what Motorola dealer. And we were already upset at the fire marshal's office because the fire marshal led us to believe they were gonna release money in Ohio to buy Mark's radios. Well, at that time, Motorola had a special deal where they were given a $500 per radio discount. And we were like, well, now that this fire marshal grant thing took so long and you had no intentions of releasing any funding anyhow, now we've lost the $500 discount. Todd confirmed, and this kind of summarizes the most of it, but Todd confirmed with the Motorola salesman, yeah, that $500 discount's going away, and we knew that when we went to this $32,000 quote. And so, I guess it was after the meeting last month that we got talking, well, why would the price of the radio go up $400, but yet nothing else went up? And you can see a 3% or 4% or 5% raise, but how can you have a 20% increase in the basic radio? Am I leaving anything out? Is that
Just that's the basic radio sitting there, and then the programming and everything else,
Yes.
and all the extra.
And those prices have never changed.
Right.
The software, so the basic shell of radio is $2,000, and then you add $1,100 Smart Zone software. You had $386 Astro Digital something, and then $225 for 96 baud trunking to make it work on the Mark system, and all of these things, and those prices never change. We know what all those are, and they never change. Then West Licking and Newark found another dealer in Columbus, so well, we'll try them. But West Licking tried them and it didn't work very good. Those people didn't know what they were talking about either. They actually ordered radios from them and didn't get what they wanted and they didn't work, so they're trying to fix that now. So we finally had enough, and Todd got I even called Motorola. I called Motorola and said, I want to talk to somebody about radios. Well, you're not a dealer, we can't talk to you. And so a half hour of that, nobody would talk to us. Todd got to looking and found a regional sales rep. So he sends me a text in the last part of February, hey, I found a regional sales rep. He said he'll come in and talk to us. This guy knows what he's talking about. He does everything I asked him. He answered. And beyond that, guess what? All the prices that we get have been wrong, and the Motorola $500 discount does still apply.
Lord.
And so,
They better give that guy a raise.
yeah, so,
For telling you that.
so the price of the radios after getting this guy are $800 less. And yes, there is a giant price increase, but it doesn't even take effect till June. Yet they were gonna charge us this new price now. So we don't understand how any of this can happen when it's a state bid contract. That state bid contracts do not require us to absolutely do sealed bids unless we're under the dollar threshold anyhow. So this guy came in, and we actually invited Wes Licking to come over too, and Chief Majors and one of his assistants came over and we met with this guy, and he was outstanding, answered all of our questions, gave us new quotes, and updated our radios. And what he was telling us is exactly what we thought it should be, because there's just no way these radio prices should have done what they said. And what we found out is that Motorola agreed to extend the $500 discount until March 16th for everybody that applied under that fire marshal's grant, because a lot of people were turned down. So they, and it took them a long time to do it, so they extended it. But apparently none of the sales people know what's going on. So we know that for our project here, we need a total of 12 portable radios. And we were trying to buy 7 of them, and we figured, well, with the 7 and 4 old ones we have, and keep a couple of the loaners we have, we'll be okay for a little while longer. But as it boils down, because the radios are gonna cost $800 more after June, no, it'd be $500 more after the 16th, and $800 more after June, we know we have to buy them. Why in the world would we not just go ahead and buy them all right now and be done with this? So what we're now proposing is that we spend an extra $10,000 and buy 12 radios instead of 7. And so we were gonna buy 7, and they were about $4,500 a piece to equal $32,000. Now we can buy 12 at $3,500 a piece for $42,000. So we're almost getting double the amount of radios for $10,000 more dollars. And then Chief Majors at West Laking is doing the same thing with West Laking Fire Board Thursday night. Gonna go ahead and finish his. They only tried to buy 6 to get started and see what they really wanted, but they're gonna do the same thing, try to get theirs purchased before the March 15th discount. And we know we're okay because the first $32,000 we had earmarked from funding of excess EMS billing from last year and selling a heart monitor. So the additional $10,000, like we talked about, we know we're gonna have some additional AFG money, so we think we're okay. And we've also applied for an additional $15,000 fire marshal equipment grant, which is an annual grant that we never get, but I wrote a letter explaining our radio situation, so maybe we'll get some additional consideration for that. But oh yeah, and here's the other great thing: Todd found and got included in this better price. We end up with a 5-year warranty now instead of a 2-year. Before we were just going to get a 2-year warranty. Now we get a 4-year extended after the 1 year. And
no additional charge?
Yeah, it's an additional $165 per radio, so that's that's $1,600 additional we're paying up front for this warranty.
Compared to the 2.
Yeah, and who knows? I mean, if something goes wrong with it, you know how manufacturers are. Well, that's something. That knob isn't covered by the warranty, but if it's something software or I don't know exactly terminology, but replace all. And they had another one at $200 a piece. It was everything. If we run over with a fire truck, they'll replace it. That's $2,400, and yeah, but gosh, if nothing ever happens, you just hate to spend that kind of money. And if we had one destroyed or lost or stolen, we probably would be better served to turn it in on our insurance. Possibly, you even have to debate those things when you look at insurance ratings. So we felt like, the 4-year extended with the 1 year, 5 years for $1,600 is probably a fair value if that's what you guys think. Or we could take it off and go with the 1 year manufacturer.
It was $1,200 for the 2 years.
Yeah, the 2 year was $1,200. So if we're gonna do one, it's crazy not to do the 5 year for $1,600. But none of these things we would have ever known about if Todd wouldn't have spent.
Excuse me to interrupt, Ron, but it sounds to me like seriously that ought to be something that you might want to call the state about. That state bid process, the person that's in charge of that. I mean, based on just what I'm hearing from you, that's pretty critical information.
Yeah, we're just surprised. Motorola is the leading company in public safety radios in this country. They have the market share cornered, and we're just really disappointed But it's well known in Licking County that there are big issues with the local, the local dealer. And, but, so.
That being
so-
said, there's still,
I agree with you, when you
if
state
you're a
bid.
company,
State
if
bid
nothing
price-
else, maybe they better get rid of that local deal and get it
Yeah,
replaced.
we went to
What
the,
I'd look
we
at.
got a quote for the company that West Licking used, and they were $10,000 higher. And it's like, we were $10,000 higher, and they were already $10,000 higher than they should have been. So,
Well, it sounds like from what I'm, there again, from what I'm gathering from your report, had you not invited West Lucky here, they probably wouldn't have known about any of this.
they got a lot of slow people that work over there anyhow.
I assume some of these guys, some of them said that.
About half of them.
They're smiling, so I think you got away with it.
No, they would have never known. Yeah, they were pleased to find it, you know, they're just like us, they're learning this process as we go through it, so. And it's just like the SCBA's and everything else, it's a tough project trying to figure out the right thing, but the most important thing is that we do the right thing. When you spend this kind of taxpayers' money, as you guys know, you know, I may be gone in a few years, but, you know, this money is spent forever, so we wanna do the right thing for the community. So that's a
Thank you,
summary.
Todd, for seriously, for looking into
Impressive.
that.
Yeah, he's done an outstanding job on that. I'd like to take the credit, but I can't, because he's sitting here. That spreadsheet there is a summary of what we're talking about. And then the only other thing that, I told Todd to go ahead and get another quote too through Motorola. We also buy every year replacement batteries and things like that. We need $2,500 worth of accessories, which is just a regular budget item that we would buy out of our communications budget anyhow. So when he orders those, I'm gonna have him do our annual budget for batteries and speaker mics and chargers and stuff too. But that will take care of our radio needs until if we're awarded an AFG grant, then we'll do more. And we're not putting mobile radios in the vehicles or anything like that, unless we find some funding to do it. And the other key thing is to find, hopefully the state fixes the per month fee of using these radios. We use one radio a day for 1.2 runs, but we have to pay to have all of them activated because they're all sitting on a piece of apparatus that we may need. So the state really needs to change that formula for funding.
Okay, okay, good. So, excuse me, we need to rescind that motion from last month, where we were only gonna buy 7, and then make a new motion to do these 12. I think that's what we gotta do, isn't it? What little under my motion? Robert's rules of order. Who made that? You have, I think it's, they like for the same person that, I think the same person that made it is usually better if they're the one.
No, it's Jean.
Great.
Jean makes a motion to rescind.
Randy seconds the motion.
Buying 7 for $42,000.
Okay. So you're making the motion
I'm making the
to
motion.
rescind the motion as far as from last month's meeting to buy 7, right, Gene?
Yes.
All right, and you second, Randy?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right. Motion by Gene Morrison, second by Randall Almendinger to rescind the motion that we had before the board last month as far as purchasing 7 Marks radios. And from the conversation you've all heard here tonight, you understand why, and then we'll be going ahead here a little bit. So does everybody know what we're talking about and what we're doing? All right, roll call?
Jean Morrison,
Yes.
Randall Almendinger.
Yes.
Charles Reeves.
Yes. All right, motion stands rescinded from last month's meeting in regards to the purchase of 7 Marks radios. All right, now, is this a current figure here
Yeah,
that
that's a
Ron?
Motorola Solutions.
So we're gonna be,
Yeah.
I guess what, I'm paraphrasing, but if I'm understanding it, it's gonna be a total expenditure plus or minus 42,663, is that correct?
Correct, for that.
And that will be for 12 radios.
And we're gonna do an additional 2,500, just out of our regular operating budget for, parts and supplies and extra batteries and stuff like that.
And the radios will be equipped as of this sheet that you presented us. All right, I'll entertain a motion to that effect.
I'll make a motion that we go ahead and accept the 12 portable Marsh radios with 5-year warranties at a cost of $42,663, utilizing the $6,000 Ohio Department of Commerce Fire Grant application promo.
Okay, is there a second?
I second it.
All right, motion by Randall Almendinger, second by Gene Morrison, to authorize the purchase of 12 March radio as equipped on this sheet the chief has given us, which will be on file with the fiscal officer in the amount of $42,663, correct?
Yes.
All right, any further questions or discussion, comments, et cetera?
No.
All right, roll call?
Gene Morrison,
Yes.
Randall Almendinger,
Yes.
Charles Reeves.
Yes. All right, motion carried unanimously, so make sure you keep that on file, and that's what the guys will be buying. All right, Ron.
Ron's got a purchase order laying on his desk, ready to finish. All he has to do is fill in the amount that you approved and send that in, and then they'll be ordered. The only thing to report under Todd's personnel report is that we did get a resignation from Bill Gordon. You can see from his text, he wasn't happy about the hours that he was being assigned.
So do we don't have to approve the 2,500 for the others, though?
No, that's just the normal expenditure that
Right.
you normally entrust us to make.
Questions or comments for the chief? Randy, Gene? Any of you?
You have anything? No.
Any of you out there have questions or comments for the chief? All right, thank you much, Ron.
Thank you.
Did good tonight, too. An hour.
Okay, that being the case, that brings us down to correspondence. Bridge, correspondence.
From Big O, and I forwarded this on to all of you, it's the consent to assignment from Big O Waste. Attached is the document for the assignment of our contract to Waste Management for the remainder of the term. By now, I am hopeful you have been contacted by a Waste Management representative and have been provided with the contact information you need. If not, please let me know. All of us at Big O wish to express our gratitude for the opportunity to serve your community. I am certain our successor will provide excellent service. Please sign one copy and email back to our office. So we just need,
All right, I'm sorry.
It's just a pass-through, right? With them being purchased?
Near as far as I know, that's my,
yeah,
that's my, so, we probably ought to have a motion. Is there a resolution to
I
this
would say a
effect?
resolution, yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'll just leave that to one of you two.
You want to read it, want me to?
I mean, you don't have to read all that, but just to basically, you know, the game.
I'd like to make a resolution. It's a consent to assignment, whereas the Township of St. Albans in Ohio and the Big O Refuse Corporation, BOC, and/or Big O Refuse, together entered into an agreement dated on, I need to put those dates in.
It was August of last year, Randy.
August of 2014 for the collection and disposal of the customer's solid waste and/or recycling materials. Whereas Waste Management of Ohio, WM, and BOR entered into an asset purchase agreement effective as of February 2nd, 2015, whereby BOR sold and WM purchased certain assets, customer lists, equipment agreements, and contract rights of BOR related to its operations in the state of Ohio.
Okay. All right, is there a second?
I second.
Resolution by Randall Almendinger, second by Gene Morrison, for the assignment of the St. Albans Township refuge contract from Big O Waste to Waste Management Services. So, any other questions, comments? Roll call?
Gene Morrison,
Yes.
Randall Almendinger.
Yes.
Charles Reeves.
Yes. Okay. And just for the record, Randy, you said you had one complaint
Well, somebody was just asking me, they didn't have good situation last time.
Right.
And they were concerned that would we have at the same time, said, I cannot answer that question until we go down that road.
Right.
Stay in touch with me.
And I also had, one call here about 2 days ago, so I notified the, PEX camp's office with Big O and called the gentleman back to make sure that, they'd gotten with him and they had, so. As Randy says, it's somewhat out of our hands right now. It's kind of unfortunate that we, renewed the contract when we did, but that's the way sometimes business works, so.
Oh.
Hope for the best.
I'll write myself a note here, and on Thursday, I'll get the guy's name that came to the Harrison Township last Monday from Waste Management, who is
Okay.
the district. And then I also have the local, he's got the local supervisor
Good,
phone number, so I'll get you guys.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
sounds good.
That, so he came to the meeting last week, so.
Well, I wonder, will this PEX camp still be?
No,
I
think he'll be
it's a
gone.
Tommy. ooh.
Turchino.
Yeah.
Turchino, yeah. I've got it right here.
Yeah,
Tom Turchino or Ciano.
something like that.
Yeah, it's a weird, different name.
He's from Cincinnati.
Okay.
Okay. Well, definitely, if we have any trouble, we'll make
Find
contact.
some,
Keep
we'll
Bell
find
on
somebody.
this.
Yep.
Between all of us, we will
Yeah,
address
top of
the
that.
situation.
And he guaranteed that the service would be the same and all that. And
That's
then
what he said.
they also purchased all of the waste, Big O's trucks and everything. There'll probably be a few changes in trucks because he made the comment, like you'd expect, that some of the trucks weren't maintained.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, we're all human enough to know that there's gonna be changes. I mean,
Right.
whether you agree with it or not. I
Yeah,
mean,
one of the things that
it's part of life.
was brought up by the Northern Harrison Township trustee. And it's an issue between Harrison and St. Albans, and it's also an issue between Harrison and Union. We have a common road that's a dividing line. So, I know, St. Albans Township is tomorrow's pickup is their normal day. Harrison's is Mondays. I don't know when Union's is because I don't see that contact as much as I used to. And, so, that was mentioned whether or not there was any kind of coordination in that. And I think if there was a little communication, whether it be on the township side, or I think I would throw that back into the waste management's, responsibility and dump that and say, look, what would you say that there's not a great deal of residents, now when you get from Outville, when you get from York to,
Leslie?
to 16, there's more of a population, but from there west, there's not a whole lot of population, there's some, but it's not like a major contact with a bunch of people that would have contracted, and it does seem to be ridiculous that Big O or Waste Management goes down and picks up one side on Monday, and 2 days later, they're back picking up the north side.
Yeah.
Get your trucks picking up
Yeah.
constantly.
It's, as we talked about before we even did this original contract a few years ago, it's like so many things, you can make arguments for and against, so I'm not gonna take time to go into all that again, cause it is what it is, but
No,
that is something that we could possibly talk about in the future, and as far as on those boundary roads like that, Tom, cause like you say, every township has it,
Right.
All right, What else, Rich?
Nothing else in the correspondence.
All right, correspondence, Gene,
Nothing, I don't think.
OTA magazine,
That's.
is that about it? Okay, Randy?
Emails I've got.
Just that, Lincoln County Commissioner, that stuff I showed you, and
Mhm.
we can look at, plus the emails I've been getting from Tom, and just the correspondence with Frank.
Yep. Well, that's the same way with me. I'm just like Gene, I had the thing from the OTA, and I had, it's needless to say, some emails and that sort of thing, but I didn't have the thing from the commissioners that you got, Randy, so. With that, that's all up here. If any of you wanna see it, feel free, just as long as we get it back. Okay. Old business, Bridge?
Alright, we got the mowing contract still up, and Gene contacted Kevin Malone, as talked about last month. And he sent us a quote for mowing Maple Grove Cemetery, for a fee of $10,000 for the mowing fee.
Yeah, that's what I said when I read that, so. Needless to say, I haven't called our honorable prosecutor to see how it's coming. I hope that it takes them
Long
all
time.
summer to get this taken care of, guys. No disrespect intended, but yeah, no wonder they want the township to take it over, huh?
That's just us to look at.
Restart the mowing.
Well,
No, no,
yeah,
we don't-
gotcha.
Who mows Maple Grove now, Tom? As near as in the meetings that I've had with that association, they have their own mower. They had two originally, but one is completely out of service. The other one is short-lived, I guess that'd be the best way to say. And to answer your question, a gentleman by the name of Bob Sizelove, which Squeak and Dave, he used to be a former resident. He's been mowing it for $10 an hour. Now, if and when the time comes that we do have the pleasure of taking that over, why, it may be something that we have to talk about. But for those of you that were here last month, the only reason we pursued this, we thought it might be something, because Malone's been mowing our closed cemeteries and Fireman's Park down here, and he had given us his quote for that for this year. And we thought maybe it might have some impact if and when we got it.
Did.
It did.
It did, it had an impact.
Yeah. Got your
Not
attention.
Got our
necessarily
attention.
That's an eye raiser.
what I would call a favorable, and I don't, in his defense, don't get me wrong, I don't wanna sound like I'm bad mouthing anybody, but, you gotta admit, that would be a time consuming,
Oh, yeah.
monotonous,
And
I'll
that's
just
weed
quit
eating.
with choice of words while I'm ahead, but.
There's a lot there to mow.
That's not an easy situation to do in
And
those
that's
old.
weed eating every other week too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Weed
just
eating
as a
on a
point of-
cemetery, there's a lot of.
A
weed
reference
eating.
point here, Bob Brown called, the chairman of that association, called me last week and he actually talked to my son, but asked us to bring our backhoe down and clear off the space because they had a burial. And Tony at the time had our backhoe, the township backhoe, tied up that morning. And that was right after we'd gotten all that snow, so we had to clear off a path for him to set. But it was a sizable area, Dave. Mr. Barnett said he had done that before. But anyway, so Kevin and I went down and along with Bob Brown and Chet Barnett, and we did clean it off. And because their regular excavator, Dick Ashbrook, he was in Florida, as was Mrs. Ferguson, the secretary. So we helped them out with that. But where I'm going with all this, I don't know how many of you, I know most all of you have been to that cemetery and been through it, but if you pay attention, we've talked about it not being, the graves not, the sites not being pinned and all this and that.
Yeah, well, I know. I own one of
There,
those signs.
those rows look like a snake crawled down through
Get
them.
more people in Crooked Row.
Well, but what I'm saying is, this whole situation, and I mean, and we've talked about before,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a real challenge, and like I say, no disrespect intended, because we just have to do what we gotta do, but, it's unfortunate that things haven't been taken a little more seriously over the years up there, so with that, I'll shut up, so. But go ahead, Rich.
So do we wanna just hold off on that for now?
I definitely think we do.
But
I
do you
assume
wanna
you do too, Gene and Randy?
Yeah.
go ahead and sign for the,
That would be my
For
thoughts.
the closed parks and
Yes.
the fireman's park for now.
Probably ought to have a motion to that effect, and there's what we'd be doing, we're all in agreement.
Okay, I make a motion that we accept Malone's, lawn care service, for the 3 cemeteries, $2,875, Fireman's Parks, $1,075. And will be billed for the $390.50 in September.
Very good.
I'll second that.
All right, motion by Gene Morrison, second by Randall Almendinger, to accept the quote from Malone's Lawn Care for the 3 closed cemeteries, for the mowing of the 3 closed cemeteries, Cornell, Gatfield, and Pioneer, at a cost of $2,875, and the quote for Fireman's Park at $1,075, correct?
Yes.
Other discussion or questions? Roll call.
Gene Morrison,
Yes.
Randall Almendinger.
Yes.
Charles Reeves.
Yes, you two made the motion, they only got 2 lines, so help yourself.
Okay.
And that's-
Newspaper reporter, and politician, you know, like that is good.
You're biting Tom. Just for a moment.
All right, what else, Rich?
That's all I have for old.
That's all you have? All right, old business,
Rich,
Gene?
can I ask you-
Oh, I'm sorry.
Did you get the one for the internet? Okay, so you've got that. You can-
Yep.
Good,
All right,
okay.
tonight.
Go ahead, Gene, I'm sorry.
That's all I wanted right there.
That's all you wanted to know about?
Business.
Yep.
Well, I still wanna bring up
Oh,
the building.
Old businesses.
Old business.
Yeah.
We've
Well,
talked
that's
about it
old
for 2 or 3 weeks. We've talked about it for months. Years.
That's real old business.
It's a real old business, wanna wait a while.
No, go right ahead.
Okay, I still feel like we need to do something about the building. And I know we've got a lot of different feelings, cause some of us don't wanna sell any land, but I don't know how else we can do it.
I don't see any other way we can do it.
Can we get a loan? I mean, is that
I don't see how we can make payments,
right now?
no.
I mean, we'll have extra money next year, but that needs another year waiting to do
Exactly.
it. So, I think I'd like to make a motion to at least maybe get for us to be, well, let's make it decide here. Do we wanna try to sell the land? Guys, come on.
Well, I think everybody knows my feelings on it.
We know, yeah.
But, I don't wanna sound dominant, so.
I wish we didn't.
Yes, I'm in
We didn't
favor
have
of
to.
it.
I mean,
Yeah, I
we've
wish
got-
we don't have to sell the land, but if you're gonna build that building, that's the only option you've got.
And we've got 14.235 acres, so we still have 8.25 up there.
If we sold the 2 3-acre tracts.
We sold the 2 3-acre tracts. Or we only wanna do the 5.
Why don't you advertise it as a vote?
You gonna sell the well with it or keep the well?
I think the well will have to go with it. Won't it?
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't.
Drilling a well isn't gonna be cheap.
If you sell 2 3 acres, it definitely would have to.
Yep.
If you sell 5 acres,
Yes,
it
it
wouldn't
won't.
have to, Gene. At least I don't think it would.
Why don't you sell
I'm pretty
2
sure it would.
2-acre tracts?
I'm sorry, Dave.
Sell 2 2-acre tracts.
And then we have to get
Have to get a
approval.
variance, Dave.
Yeah.
You get a variance, that saves your well, it
What-
saves
what's-
$5,000 of the well.
What's the basis of gaining that variance?
Two
Where's the
acres.
hardship?
Where's the hardship? We need money.
Well, I mean, can't you go to, couldn't you rezone for residential? Cause that's on 2 acres, isn't it?
check. Nobody's asked, I think it is.
I think it is.
Should be.
I thought you had that.
You can have a 3-acre parcel, but you can rezone to residential, it's 2 acres. If I remember right. That saves your well or saves $5,000.
Well, and the other thing, there's no guarantee. I guess I'm somewhat like Tom, you could advertise it either way.
There's no guarantee it's gonna sell.
Exactly.
We still may have to do
And
something
we would have
next
to
year.
have in those bids, or at least from
Yeah,
speaking out loud, I would think we definitely want to put in there right of refusal if, just like any other bids that we do, that if it doesn't, if the price doesn't come up to suit us and I will say this, Gene, just, or Randy, if you are thinking about making a motion, it would need to be very specific. I don't
Yeah,
want
that's
to
fine.
sound like a dictator, but just keep that in mind as far as if and when we do get to that part, 'cause
I just don't want to let it drop, that's what I'm.
and I'm not gonna sit here and tell anybody that I've got the answers. We all know, as you said, they've
We all
sat on
know.
this side of the table for years, and basically everybody in this room knows what we've
What we've been
faced the
working
last
with.
few years, and are still facing with the old maintenance buildings that we currently have.
Well, that's
So-
what scares me, is the old maintenance building.
And like I say, I don't claim to have the answer completely anyway. I mean,
Won't it cost us 10 to 12 grand to tear that one down?
all along,
To demo it, probably? It might get 15.
Well, you get, there's resources of some people in the room.
Where you gonna put all that stuff?
who you
I'm talking about the back row.
okay.
Well, you wanna speak up, son, don't be
No,
bashful.
no, that's all I'm going to go. That's as far as I'm going. It's being recorded and taped, so that's it.
Okay. Did you find out about the 2 acres?
Yes, it is 2 acres and 150 feet.
Or if you want to think, kind of shit, if you want to really kind of get down to brass tacks tonight, and
Yeah, that's,
I'm not trying to
that's okay.
tell anybody what to do, but I think from what what I'm hearing Jean say, she's getting serious.
Well, all right, the way I look at it, you can sell, you could advertise it the 2-3 acres or the 5 acres. David's suggestion of rezoning it, but then if someone's gonna come up and say, oh, well, the trustees are doing spot zoning. I see that as an issue. I see, going for a variance. Someone's gonna hold that against you that doesn't wanna see the township, sell the land. The rezoning, that's gonna take 90 days. And then what, $180, $190 just for the advertisement.
True.
Now,
I'll every bit of that, yeah.
We're almost gonna need to have a work session sometime to discuss that for a good couple hours. And just throw everything on the table and see what we're doing.
I can draw up some pretty pictures again like I did the last time. We get them in color and go from that, and we can talk about it, next month, or you guys want to forge ahead, you guys are in charge.
No,
I mean, I was in the building, last Friday, and it's not getting any better,
What's the big lot where the big house is? How many acres is it?
Where the house is,
Where the
they-
big house is.
3 point something.
Is it 3
You
something?
just on your email the other day, Tom.
Right, and the people buying that, they're getting a bargain. $355,000 for that place? That is it.
I bet that's.
I think
almost $1
Les
million.
will bought it too, from what the vice president of Park National told me at the trustee association meeting.
What do you say?
Well, Jean and I we're talking to her, Erin and Shannon, and she was, as usual, kids us about why don't the township buy it, I said,
Yeah.
what are we
Let me
gonna
get a
do with that
building.
monstrosity? And I said, if you had just in passing conversation, making conversation, I said, if you had any offers on it? She said, yeah, we just turned down an offer for $275,000. And I said, what's your gut instinct would actually buy it, low dollars? Her response was, Gene, I'll let you say,
It was about 200,000.
300,000.
300,000, yeah.
She
that's
said,
it.
I wouldn't wanna offer 300,000 unless I was serious.
Because that'll go.
Now,
Thanks,
that
Randy.
was just
You could've
her
got
saying
your
that,
house.
I'm sure there's a board that has to.
Sure, that's
Has to
approved.
approve everything.
Bottom line is, I mean, I know when my son and Bridget bought the farm, they naturally tried to get us and them to buy it. And at one time, they were asking $989 or $985, just under the $1 million.
Figure about $1 million.
Because they had $1.5 million invested.
Wow.
So needless to say, they're taking a good shellacking on it. But there again, but anyway, so enough of that. So Randy, from what I'm hearing, your comments, you're thinking we ought to have a work session?
I really do.
That's fine.
I mean,
I'm not,
just put an hour, a couple hours together one day and just
Well,
throw
you
them
want
out
to
there.
piggyback that on next Thursday's meeting?
That's what I was thinking too.
You talking about next Wednesday's meeting?
Wednesdays.
Oh, Wednesday.
I know.
I don't work on Wednesdays.
Well, then we'll only have,
Drink all day.
because the meeting that we're gonna have next Wednesday,
we'll have to.
it's gonna be short. Then we can go ahead and go into an automatic, throw everything on the table, see
Yeah,
what
as
we can
long
do,
as
what
we
we
make a
can.
motion, change the purpose of the
That's
meeting.
what I have to do. Additional business will be discussed, yeah.
All right.
It's got, no, it's got to be somewhat specific,
Oh, we'll be specific on what we're gonna discuss.
no, in the advertising.
So is that all right with you then, Gene? You
Yeah,
agreeable
that's
with that?
fine. Yeah, I just, honestly.
Yep.
figure
Move
out
forward.
What we wanna do, yeah.
All right, well, I'll entertain a motion. What we need to do is make a motion to include the next Wednesday's special meeting with the fire department and the opening of those, or the awarding of those bids to also include whatever you, a work
Discussion.
session.
Discussion on those. Okay. I make a motion that we include in next Wednesday's special meeting that we will be discussing the township building and possibly selling the property.
Okay,
Second.
all right, motion by Gene Morrison, second by Randall Almendinger to include in the meeting, special meeting of Wednesday, March 18th, 2015, to also include in that we will be having a work session for the purpose of discussing the possible sale of real estate by St. Albans Township and construction of a possible, or a maintenance building. Correct?
That's
Correct.
Everybody, I get it right? All right, any questions or comments? Okay, roll call.
Gene Morrison,
Yes.
Randall Almendinger,
Yes.
Charles Reeves.
Yes, motion carried unanimously, so as it stands now, we will be opening that meeting and awarding the bids for the fire department STVA, and then we will go into a work session to discuss the real estate and building. Okay, other old business, Gene.
I don't think so.
Randy, old business,
I've never
sir?
been here long enough.
Just our friend Frank.
Our friend
Okay.
Frank,
You want me to read the emails or just,
Sure.
everything's fine, but.
I talked to him today.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Frank Fruit.
Johnson.
Frank right down the street, I didn't know you guys were still talking.
Oh, I talked to him.
I just said, Frank, this is Randy, just giving you a note that we did read your letter in open forum at the February Township meeting. I think you were aware that we had ODNR at our meeting from much earlier to discuss the lowering of the water tables down at Kurtz Brothers Brookside Materials, the old Brooks Farm. We have received proper wording from ODNR to address any issues within the cone of depression. If it were to impact any wells within that cone, it would be addressed by the Kurtz Brothers. They can do what they will, but we all live out here and we'll be watching tightly when the time comes for any movement. His response was, thanks, Randy. As I stated in our letter to everyone, we have been through this before, and it could possibly happen again. My major concern is we have some farmers in the area that rely on well water for their livestock, and I do not want to see them going through what we had to go through. We have no objections for what they are trying to do, as long as it does not cause a hardship on the farmers and the residents within the area. But if it causes a problem, then we are a problem that we encountered, someone must be held responsible. Thanks again.
Yep, and in regards to that, I did, I don't know if any of you, Dave, did they come up and check your well?
Yeah, they've been
Last
checking
week?
wells and stuff.
Okay, reason I was getting, last week, a gentleman by the name of Chris Gordon from that Egon Associates, who is the consulting geologist for that project at Brookside, the dewatering project, he came and checked all the wells on our farms, including Kevin and Bridget's and ours, wife and I. And I specifically asked him if Frank was on the list to be checked. And he said he couldn't tell me because he was doing the township outside the incorporated area and another guy, but I gave him Frank's name and address and told him that I definitely would like for him to be contacted. And so I called Frank today and to make sure, and as of yet, they haven't. And I told him to stay in contact with me and let me know, and that, you know.
Once he hears from him?
Yeah, so, anyway, that's it. Dave, Squeak, whoever.
Go ahead, Squeak.
They have been in town because they talked to Herb Lowry.
Okay, good.
I don't know who it was, but they was from out to do with the dewater.
Okay,
So they are moving around town a little
good.
bit.
Dave?
The guy that checked my well or checked the ones up the road there, he said the aquifer out here they're checking on is 400 feet deep.
He said it's one of the best in the
I was
state,
gonna say, wow.
which I think old timers of us knew that from that thing several years
Yeah.
ago when Columbus was wanting to come out here, so
But
back in the 70s.
When Frank said something in the letter there that they've been through this again, when
Yes.
did they have at it?
Well, Randy, I'll let you know the answer to that. I'll give you what I think it is, but I'll
Go
let
ahead.
Randy. Well, from what he told me the same thing today, but I think it was when they put this, he was referring to when they put the sewer in and they had to pump a lot, see squeaking on his head, they had to pump a lot of water out. And he's got a real shallow well that he uses for his garden and that kind of stuff. And he, according to what he told me today, his and Karen Holt's,
Yeah.
was there a third one squeaking?
Yeah, a little tiny pond on down the road.
Dried up?
But anyway, they
Yeah.
dried up. So he was very nice about it. And, you know, we had a very civil conversation. I mean, you know, no problems. So, but I think from what I know, that's what he was referring to, Dave.
Okay, the guy I talked to, he said, I can't see how they can pump this aquifer down the way the water
That's the
comes.
same thing. Chris Gordon, is that who you talked to? Tall, thin guy, Dave?
Yeah, he was in a bluish colored truck or,
Yep.
yeah.
Same guy was.
Then there's one guy in a white truck, a guy in
So
a
if
red
you
truck.
hear of anybody that does have concerns, feel free to, you know, to send them to us and take their name and we'll get with them. And this company, I mean, they said they do this all, and basically everything Dave said is what they told me, and they don't, and they don't even know for sure whether Brookside is actually gonna pursue this yet, based on the cost, but evidently they're pretty serious to be,
They run electric back.
and I agree,
Yeah.
Dave.
Yeah,
I
they're gonna do
agree
it.
with that. So,
They're gonna do something.
yeah,
But yeah, like that aquifer, I mean, look at the water we run at Baker's doing in plants,
Yeah.
day in and day out, day in and day out.
yeah.
It just never dries up.
Yeah, but just like Frank's, when theirs went down, Karen Olds and all, that was right down there by 37 where they was pumping. And when they was putting the sewer line in. And just a few days after they got out of that area,
Everything.
Right
Right
back.
back
right
up.
back.
Yeah.
Good deal. Okay,
I told him if he needed to see me and ask any questions, just call me
same thing.
or email me. You said same thing?
I told him, feel free.
Okay.
All right, anything else, Randy, old business?
No, I can't think of anything else right now.
Okay. Well, we've already talked about everything on here except for 2 items that I've got on my list. Had a conversation with Tony today in regards to the inventory that we've been talking about the last month or so since we found out about that per the ORC. And in that conversation, and we'll get to that in a minute, he did bring me the inventory. In that conversation, I asked him how many tons of salt we had left, not knowing what I was gonna get a few hours later as far as an email. And he said we've got 25 to 30 tons left as far as, as far as a full bin of grit to be mixed with it, so copy for you too, Rich.
I think we're gonna-
Okay, so,
Oh, you got it done already.
That's what we
Yeah.
had to have this inventory list.
I thought he did, I gotta give him credit, I thought he did a real good job too.
Did we get the fire department yet?
Believe it or not, Dave, I was thinking of that a while ago, and I've got another question too, because, yeah, I didn't get that done, but anyway, there's 3 pages on here, and like I say, Dave, you might wanna look at it since being a past trustee, but, I thought he did just a real good job myself. I told him I was really pleased with it, but, you know, everything's on here, as near as I can tell, and if it's not, quite frankly, I'll take some of the heat for it, because I told him, I said, as far as little individual wrenches and that kind of stuff, I said, I'm not about to ask you for that. I said, I just want the major tools and all that, and like I said, if you got socket sets, just half-inch socket set, blah, 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 and he did exactly that. He's got on here, socket set, 3/4 inch drive, from a 1/4 inch, or, that's on the wrong one, but anyway, up to 2 inches and all that, so he did a real good job, so I told him thanks on that. So with that, I'm gonna stop on that. And let's see. As far I got down here, the cemetery update, we basically already covered that. Like I said, I thought about calling the prosecutor to see where we stood as far as his review of
Just leave it
the
alone.
private association's treasury and all that, and records and all. And after Bridget emailed me that quote from Malone, as I said previously, I thought, I hope they take all summer to make up their mind for more reasons than one.
Yeah.
So enough said about that, so
Put that
now
down.
I'll start in again here in a minute under new business. So Bridge, new business, please.
I got a email tonight, right before I came, and I have not even looked over it, but I printed it off, about the salt contract, so I'll just read it. Dear political subdivisions, you are receiving this email as notification that the participation form for the ODOT summer salt contract has now been published. Again, this notification is for participation in the summer salt contract only. The winter use contract participation form will not be sent out until the end of April, beginning of May. As always, your participation on either of these contracts is completely optional. In addition to the information shared below in this email, you are also invited to attend a conference call by dialing, and it gives the number, on Wednesday, March 11th at 2:00 p.m. During this call, we will reiterate this communication and answer any questions you may have after reading through it. ODOT has developed a new website where political subdivisions can submit their salt request forms and approved resolutions electronically. This year, we will only be accepting requests through this website, and you are required to attach your approved resolution with your submission. If you do not attach your approved resolution, we will not accept your salt request. Your resolution shall serve as your political subdivision's digital signature for the participation form and legal approval to participate. Therefore, we will make no exceptions to this requirement. Your completed participation form and resolution must be submitted no later than Friday, April 3rd. We fully understand that everyone's boards, councils, trustees, etc. meet at different times. However, we will not be able to make any exceptions to this date requirement. We apologize if this causes any inconvenience. Please note, you will be able to use the same approved resolution as your political subdivision's approval to participate in both the summer and winter salt contracts. We do not need a separate resolution passed for each individual contract. Here are a couple notes about this year's summer salt contract. The summer salt contract will go up for bid on April 6th, and bids will open around May 5th. We will share the bid results shortly thereafter. You will be required to purchase 100% of your requested tonnage. You will not be given an opportunity to remove or reduce your requested tonnage from the contract after the bid has been issued on April 6th. The contract will be effective from approximately mid-May through November 30th, 2015. You must have all salt orders placed with your awarded salt supplier by no later than August 15th. If you do not place your order by August 15th, your salt supplier will not be obligated to supply you with any salt. Your awarded salt supplier will have the entire contract period to deliver your requested tonnage. However, it will be a requirement that you have at least 50% of your ordered tonnage delivered by October 15th. And then it gives the site to submit the participation form and resolution. If you need to make changes, it gives that information. And then, thank you, Austin Price, Lead Procurement Coordinator, Ohio Department of Transportation.
Okay, now, what I was referring to, that was all, Bridget sent me that, just probably an hour before I came down here, hour and a half, or that's, excuse me, I don't know when she sent it, but I got it about an hour or something like that before I came down here. Now, the other thing I was gonna comment on, when I was checking my emails earlier in the afternoon when I came in from the barn, I had one on there from the engineer's office, Kurt Simross.
Yes, I got that.
Same type situation, only not nearly as much detail. It's gonna be a conference call tomorrow at 2 o'clock. And, you know, if we want, and the way I understood it, it was based, I mean, anybody could do it that's interested, but it was a lot more so for the fact, for people that hadn't participated in this contract before. So, and then, like I say, here this comes, so I thought that's what I was referring to there under old business. This was all kind of a coincidence after I just asked Tony today out of curiosity where we stood as far as tonnage on carryover.
How much do you say we have left?
He said 25 ton plus or minus. And so I called Tony after I got Bridget's thing and left him a message with that. I got my phone back here. I'll go back and see if he hadn't called me back yet. I'll look on here and see if he might have called me back and left me a message as far as to how many tons that he thought if we should increase it for next year or where we stood. And yeah.
I'm gonna say it was a vibrating.
Good deal. You got good, better ears than I got, Dave.
Yeah, he
He's
ordered a
close.
second time though, didn't he?
Pardon me?
He got a second order. When I was down talking to him, he said he was having more shipped in. But that's been a couple
Well,
months
he got
back.
the rest
Already
of
got that in.
what we had coming. But the thing, if you noticed in that verbiage area that Bridget read, the thing that's different this year, before, you didn't have to take it all. You could take 80% or you could go up to 120%. As you heard what she said there, it's 100%. No, you know. Now, and the other thing that I didn't particularly care for in that, that one line there toward the end, your awarded salt supplier will have the entire contract period to deliver your requested tonnage, but they'll deliver 50%. I don't know about you, but I don't like that part. I mean, chances are they will get it to you in a timely fashion.
But they have an out.
Exactly, exactly, Randy, and I personally don't like that, so.
Can we change the language in that though, or is
I don't
that
think
now
we
the state
can.
would probably
This is a state
No,
deal,
no.
yeah, I don't think we have
Oh,
any.
that's, yeah, here it is.
Dr. John Casey.
But anyway, bear with me, I'll listen to this and
Okay, go
see
right
what, I'm sure that's
Well,
what's
do you
wrong.
wanna do that during when we're signing? But for now, do you wanna there's a sample resolution to participate in it.
Yeah, we definitely, well, I assume
we
we
have to.
definitely wanna participate, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We always have.
Got to.
So, yeah, I'd say we definitely wanna do that.
Okay, so do we wanna go ahead and make that? And
Last year,
then,
the first year we did.
do we have to tell them now how much we
What,
want?
David?
I was gonna say, last year was the first year we participated in that summer salt thing, wasn't it?
I'm sorry, Dave.
Wasn't last year the
summer.
first time they had the summer salt thing?
It was the summer, first time.
Yeah, the first time they had the
offered
summer.
two. And they're
Yeah,
gonna do the same thing if you read, or.
you're gonna do it in the fall too.
That's on
But
the salt.
if you remember right, the one in the fall,
You get up or
it was
down.
higher.
Yeah,
And,
But if we buy it.
and there again, yeah, I think that was on this other page.
Yeah, so we have to do the participation form,
And the resolution.
that, and then the resolution of how much. Yeah.
It's quite a bit different than what we've had to do in the past. Like I say, I'm not,
so they're
should be more
shipping,
familiar, but bear with us, 'cause like I say,
to change things
You
all
got
the
this
time.
up.
A little bit of a learning curve.
Yeah.
Just got this
morning.
email this morning, right?
Yeah.
No, this
First one,
afternoon.
yeah.
Well, I got
Oh.
this
You got hers
afternoon
right before
after
she
work.
came.
I didn't check my email this afternoon.
Oh,
Shame on you, Randy.
It's too much work.
I had to get the papers done. All five
Can you
of
see
them
where
were
they
done.
specify how much they want? Am I missing it?
How much is it per ton?
Don't know.
We don't
well,
know.
we
Gotta
don't
bid
know.
it.
They're not-
Yeah.
No, we,
saying that?
this is, two of these are sample resolutions they sent along with us, Randy. No, not in those I didn't,
And it's not on here either.
but in that verbiage there somewhere it said, didn't it?
Your completed participation form and resolution must be submitted by April 3rd.
So maybe you don't
Down
have.
here it says you would be, yeah, right there, you will be required to purchase
Of your requested
100%
tonnage.
of your requested tonnage, so you gotta request it somewhere, but
Yeah, but it's
neither
not
of these
on-
and this, just for reference, this is from Union Township in Licking County last year.
And this is
That's when
Jackson
Mr. Black was
Township.
still a trustee.
But I see where they agree to stockpile the requested tonnage, but I don't see the requested tonnage anywhere.
I don't need it, Rich.
You gotta put that in, don't you?
Well, there's no place to put it.
No,
Well, you would think
They'd
these
have
are
a place spotted.
samples, they would have a place,
you would
but
think
there
they would be
isn't.
right.
I'll bet that's when you send it in on the computer, there's a place to put that in, when you
Well,
email that
that
stuff
could
to
be.
them. Look on that sheet.
It just says to submit your summer participation form and resolution, which are those two, to go here.
Yeah, but your resolution will have how many tons of salt you want.
Same thing.
Yeah, this one here does not be.
No, but I say the one you make will have that in it.
It doesn't say, it doesn't specify any terms at all. I mean, feel free, you're more than welcome to look at it.
Now, I'm saying, but when you make your resolution, it'll have the tonnage in that, and you'll submit that to the thing.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
but what I'm,
But in these samples.
what, yeah, this is
Yeah.
a resolution that Union Township
Right.
made, and they didn't specify any tonnage, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, okay.
Not to be
And
points
this
well
is what they
taken.
gave us to follow.
Yeah.
That's
Blind,
No, that's
blind.
Just so you can.
All right, well, anyway, the first thing we need to do is the resolution to participate,
right.
correct?
This is in the summer session. right?
Summer session, yeah. And then the next one is gonna be
The fall session.
resolution to contract. This is not as clear as
I
mine.
know.
So do we need two resolutions for each one, it sounds like?
Well,
No,
there's
one
two
resolution.
For the
resolutions.
summer and then for the fall?
Well, we
No,
don't wanna
no.
do one for the, well,
They said that the resolution
I
was
think we
good
just
for
wanna
summer
do a
and
summer,
fall.
don't
It'll
we?
be
Yes.
cheaper.
It'll be cheaper, so I mean, that's what
Oh,
I'm.
that's the one we did.
But they said even so, you only have to send in one
Uh-huh.
resolution,
Right,
even if you use both of them.
exactly.
I didn't hear that much.
Yep.
I heard that part. How much salt did we get last year?
120 ton last year, Gene.
20 tons.
What I was trying to
We
just,
got 25 ton
here
left.
again, I was
Yeah,
just
I got
thinking
that.
out loud and to myself, you know, while after I got this, I was thinking, well, certainly we can't have a winter a whole lot worse than
what we had
this,
this year.
number
Well,
one.
we could, but wouldn't have.
And so if we ordered the same amount, plus we got 25 plus or minus tons carried over, that would be that much of an
Much more.
increase.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that we might possibly want to consider, as you well know, we had Tony reduce the amount of
grit.
salt this year and increase the amount of grit because we were afraid we might be in this position. And if you traveled our roads this year, they weren't, I mean, they were
They
still
weren't
better
bad.
than the county.
They were still better,
Yeah,
better
They
than
really
a lot.
were. They were definitely better than the county roads, but quite frankly, they weren't as good as our roads have been in the
Generally
past.
have been. Okay,
So-
that's one.
I
Well,
didn't,
he increased.
I'm sorry,
We
Dave.
always was one salt, 3 stone, then he increased it this.
He increased it to either 4 or 5 this year. He increased
He
the
upped the
amount.
salt there.
No,
No.
Yep.
He left the salt and upped the grit.
No, he upped the salt to start with. 'Cause he was
But then we
1 to 1.
said we gotta change this because we're running tile.
Yeah,
So he
but then
put
we
in the more
changed,
grit.
then he changed it back down to what we was, I think. Ask him, I could be
I'm
wrong.
sure
This
it's
is the
something.
participation form, and then this is the resolution to purchase.
Okay,
We'll need a resolution.
all right, so the purchase or the participation is what we need to do first, correct? Getting more confused by the minute.
Well, I'm not.
We'll let you come up here.
Nothing about it. Well, I think, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it.
Make a resolution on
Make
the
the
same.
resolution to do it.
I hereby make a resolution that St. Albans Township participate in the ODOT Cooperative Purchasing Program for road salt for the winter of 2015/16, and that would be for the summer contract. That should cover everything, right?
I'll
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right. Resolution by Reeves, second by Almendinger, as stated in regards to authorizing the participation in the ODOT salt contract for this, excuse me, for this coming winter, and to take part in the summer contract. And is everybody all clear?
Yeah, I
Okay.
hope so,
Yeah.
on that part anyway.
I'm trying. All right. Roll call, Rich.
Gene Morrison,
Yes,
Randall Almendinger,
Yes.
Charles Reeves.
Yes. All right, resolution carried unanimously. Okay. So that's the participation. Now, I think
125 times, is that what we're gonna do?
120 or 25, whatever you're comfortable with, Randy. Dave, I mean, as a past trustee, do you think are we thinking logically?
Well, yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I was just thinking,
We've got 25 ton left, right?
yeah, but the question is, how much did we have left last year?
Dave,
That-
truthfully, I'm not
That-
gonna
that-
sit here and tell you, because I
No,
don't remember.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out.
I don't think it was much.
I don't think it was either.
Because I think truthfully, I think what you were referring to there, and I don't wanna get into a discussion on it, but I think what you were saying is what we ended up doing the last year. I think he was originally started out with more
More salt.
a year ago, and then we told him to cut it down because we were afraid we
It
were.
could be, I don't,
But
One
I'm like I
time
say,
we
it's
did.
neither here nor there,
Yeah.
but
that's weird. Doesn't make any sense.
Maybe we should do 125 ton.
Do you think Tony told you on the message?
well, I'm pretty sure he did, but
Okay.
give me a minute, I didn't wanna be rude. Yeah,
Don't be
that's
rude.
it, 748.
Well, I say we,
Okay, like I say, all right, shut up. Hit the button.
Hit 7.
That was my
Hit seven.
brother-in-law. Don't need his crap. Okay.
so if we buy 125, we still got 25 left, and we'll have plenty. And you can go a little thicker with the salt next year.
Or go
What do you
ahead.
think?
That complaint he had, I'm sure was the same one I had from Venus neighbor, Mrs. Roberts.
Oh, okay.
And she was nice about it. Well, I explained to her why I told her, I said, it's strictly a matter of cost.
Yep.
And, you know, we weren't sure how
They weren't
much,
bad.
if we'd be able to get any more, so I said, you know, we didn't, and she's the only one, I can honestly say that.
Yes,
But
No, I didn't
I've
have
driven the
anybody.
road, you know, I'm on the roads a lot, and they weren't quite as good, but like I
They
said,
weren't
they
A
were.
lot better than the county.
They were a lot better than the
Oh,
county.
man, worst road going to Outville is Outville Road.
Yeah,
Yes.
they really were. And I'm not patting ourselves on the back, but I think our guys do a good job on what they do, so. So whatever,
That's about
You know.
125.
you know, we don't have to do all that, we just need a resolution to,
That's just,
for the, you know, and all this and that.
Yep.
What do you think?
It's fine with me. What do I have to say? You do it.
well,
Well,
I
I mean, just
We're
ahead of
just
time,
discussing
as far
right
as the
now.
amount.
I say we go with 125 ton with what we've got left over there. Like Tony's saying, he may use a little bit more, but not much more. And I'm assuming we can thicken it out a little bit more with salt next year and really keep everybody happy, because that'll keep us at 150 ton.
Yep,
That should be money. And if we have a light winter, we're due for one eventually.
Yep.
That's 2 bad ones in a row.
Oh, no, that'd been bad.
This was only half of a winter that was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last year. it was
February and
all-
March were awful, and like you said last year, it
It
was
was
just,
all.
yeah.
The whole winter was bad.
From Halloween on.
I still say 120.
But I'm still ready for warm weather, so.
so I'm
You agree
fine
with
with
that?
that.
Yes, that's fine.
So go ahead, one of you. You don't have to read, just.
Okay. I make a resolution that we go ahead and purchase 125 ton of salt through the ODOT program through the summer issue.
All right, is there a second?
I second it.
Motion by Randall Almendinger, as stated, second by Gene Morrison, in regards to purchasing approximately 125 tons of road salt for this coming winter through the summer program from ODOT, so, correct?
Yes.
Right?
Any just further discussion? Roll call.
Gene Morrison,
Yes.
Randall Almendinger.
Yes.
Charles Reeves.
Yes, ma'am. Resolution carried, so, okay. Well, like I say, that was kind of a long way around some of that, but at least you know everything that we know. So, as I've said before, we don't have anything to hide here. See, it's pretty good. Okay. I've got one other thing here under my, my personal agenda as far as for tonight's meeting. After seeing that email from Simross in regards to this salt contract, I was thinking about roads as far as what we're gonna have this coming year and I thought, I'm gonna give Jeff Small a call, or Smalls rather in general, and just see, kind of get if they have any idea what oil prices are gonna be doing.
We're doing the roads, you mean? Yeah,
And,
okay.
so anyway, I did that, talked with Jeff. He said, well, you're on the right track, but he said, you're 24 hours too early. I said, what's that? He said, we're meeting with the swap suppliers tomorrow at 1 o'clock. He said, I'll call you back. He said, I'll be able to give you a pretty firm price as far as for budgetary purposes. It won't be a bid price, but it'll be a pretty accurate
Somewhere
quote.
close.
So he did tell me, I said, you know, I was just basing it on what we're seeing with fuel prices, because, you know, that's what it's all determined on for the most part. And I asked him if he had a feeling for it. He said, from the suppliers that they've talked to so far, MC will definitely be considerably less. He said, now what considerably is, I'm not gonna stand here and tell you, because he said, I'm sure you're gonna ask. And I said, you're right. He said, well, I don't know any more than you do, but he said, I will tomorrow. He said, as far as RS, the emulsions, he said, I would assume if MCs are down, they will be down, but he said they may not be down as much. So, anyway, so hopefully tomorrow night, I'll have a little better idea, so then when we have our April meeting, and plus by that time, we'll have a better idea, because I don't know if any of you've been out on any, not only our roads, but other township roads. The last 2 days has made a
A little
difference.
difference.
It's some of this chip seal, and it's only gonna get worse. I see Dave smiling, 'cause he and I've been through it before, huh, Dave? Yep. So, but anyway, so that's all I have. So, any other new business
Nope.
for now? All right, any of you in the audience, Squeak?
I've got one thing,
Yes, sir.
on your trash things down here at the park,
Yes.
they're getting scattered again. I mean, they're getting scattered all over the place, and they was to the
The
east,
bins themselves squeak.
Yeah.
yeah, and the
I've been by
bins.
for a few days, reason I.
And then now they're getting scattered clear over on the farmers right away. So one of these days you won't gonna need in that field, so they need to put them back over to the east where they were supposed to be.
Okay.
Originally, so we
Just call
Lindsay.
Lindsay, I've called Lindsay before, and
Told her,
she's
she
called
gets it
Bucky,
done.
and she gets it done. I
She-
called Lindsay, whatever.
The county recycling Tom.
Yeah, whatever her last name is now.
Yep.
And I called her because we were down in Harrison, we were being packed. And they brought in another thing, and then there's been issues with them moving them around too close to the driveway, and there's other issues.
So they've been cooperative and trying to
Yeah,
resolve it.
usually when you call Lindsay, it's taken care of
Could-
next week.
Since you've got that relationship, could I ask you to do that, or would
Sure.
you rather one of us do that?
No, I have no problem.
I'm just like to say, if you don't, I understand, but I just thought maybe,
I'll add it to my notes.
if you didn't mind, if you'd take care of that, just heard what the man said, so if you'd talk to him about that, why, we'd appreciate it.
As long as they don't lose my notes, I'll be all right.
Okay.
But they did have them all on the line, you know,
Yeah.
pretty nice. Now they got two over here, and one over here, and two over there, and they need to.
All right, would you assume the chief will be back to get checked? Yeah, okay. When they come back, remind me, I've got two
Ask
items.
about,
I wanna know about the inventory, and then Mr. Carter called me the other day, and I had myself a note made here, but in all the looking, I looked right over it. He wants to know if the fire chief has heard anything from the Shriners about the grant that we usually apply for. Okay, good. Did you have something, Randy?
No, I just say we always get that one
Yeah.
too.
All right, as far as we know, we don't have any further business right now, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna shut the recorders off while we sign our checks and warrants, pay the bills. Following that, we will turn the recorders back on for any business that anyone happens to think about before actual adjournment. So for now, we're in recess.
Rick, you need a copy.